Assalamu alaikum. I'm Professor Sharmin Yasmin, Chairperson, Public Health Foundation of Bangladesh, and also head of the Department of Community Medicine in Bangladesh Medical College. And I'm also the treasurer of Autism Welfare Foundation. I welcome you all to my presentation on steps of research protocol writing. First of all, I would like to congratulate IFMSA for organizing BIMSCON 2020 in this devastating situation of COVID-19 pandemic. So congratulate again. So let's start with my presentation now. I already have told you today's presentation is on steps of research protocol writing. So most of our audience, I think you are medical students and you are not that much aware of how to write a research protocol. Actually, we'll talk about the steps of research protocol today. There are also another session, how to write research protocol. It is something different from today's topic. So let's start. So when does a research start actually? So you know that in our mind always there are many thoughts and ideas and questions. These are roaming around in our mind. And these are some are problem-based and some are question-based. But if you think that you can answer those questions on your assumptions, based on your assumption, that is quite wrong. That will not be accepted. We have to do a evidence-based, we have to inquire for an evidence-based answer, and that will be acceptable by the concerned authority. So we have to move forward to conduct a research. And for that, you have to submit a research proposal. And for that research proposal, you have to submit the prepared research proposal, you have to submit it to the concerned authority. And they have to approve the research protocol. But there might have some correction or that they might put their suggestions on your protocol. Then you have to again rectify according to their suggestion and you have to resubmit your research proposal. Okay, let's see what is in the next slide. First of all, you have to understand actually what is research proposal. Research proposal is a written document that describes what you intend to do by research. That means it deals with your research goal. Then why you intend to do the research. That implies to the importance of your research goal. And how you intend to do the research. That means your plan of action. How you're going to conduct the research. What would be the procedure? What would be the methodology? It will talk about that. And then what are the expected outcome of research? It deals with, it relates with the implication of your research finding. Here you can see the steps of a research proposal. You can see here that there is topic, then title. I will describe in my next slides one by one. So topic and title. Actually, first you have to choose the topic. Then you have to narrow down the topic towards the title. Then introduction, then research question, research objective, then review of literature. In all the processes, the review of literature is involved. Research design and methods, implication and contribution to knowledge, references, research schedule, and budget. These were the steps. So there are some criteria for selecting a research problem. The first one I have told you is the research topic. So what could be the research topic or research problem? There are some criteria. Number one criteria is relevant. Relevant is related to connectivity. Relevant is related to connectivity. How? Suppose I would like to undertake a research on like opportunities and challenges of online education for the medical students in COVID-19 pandemic situation in Bangladesh. Okay, So it is quite relevant here. So now we are going through this situation and it is relevant. It has a connection. It has a connection with the problem. So it is relevant. Then feasibility. Feasibility means whether it is possible or not, whether it is practicable or not. Okay, feasibility means that. Feasibility in terms of methodology, in terms of technical support, or in terms of even financial management, it is applicable. Then avoidance of duplication, but exception is there. It's not that you always have to do a new research. There may be a duplication. So you can, through your literature review, you'll find that the topic you are interested to do your research has done previously by others, but the methodology was different, or it is now very much time demanding. The topic you have chosen, it is very much time demanding. The same study was done 20 years back. So situation is different now. So there you might get another result, and information is always changing. So there is no harm if you just do the same research, but it should be logical. It should be scientifically sound, and it should have a scientific basis. So avoidance of duplication. So I have told you already, exception is there. So don't worry, you can do the same kind of research if you can convince your readers, or if you can convince your authority, it can be done. Then applicability. Applicability means what is your research finding would be utilized in future for the benefits of the community or not. It should have some applicability for the community. Then urgency of data needed. So data, I need information. Nowadays we need information about COVID-19. So you see there are lots of researches are going on. So there is an urgency of information nowadays regarding COVID-19, and it will be continued for a long. So you have a very huge scope to do research on COVID-19 pandemic, or on the virus, or on any aspect of epidemiology. And then is the ethical acceptability is another criteria. So ethical acceptability is you always have to maintain the ethical issues. You cannot do any harm to the patient. You have to maintain the confidentiality of the subject. You cannot do any harm to the community people, even patient or your study subject, whatever. So ethical issue is very important. So these were among the criteria of selecting a research problem. You have to keep it in mind. Then the title. What should be the title actually? I have told you, you have to narrow down the topic towards a title, right? So title should be very much specific, concise, that means very much clear, catchy, and it should clearly indicate the research question. So you can generate your research question from your title, okay? Or you can generate your title from the research question. So it should be very much meaningful. The title should not be so long and should not be too short. It should be always meaningful. So it should be limited within 15 words ideally. But in some situation, it can be bigger than that. It can be more than 15 words, but usually we prefer a title within 15 words. Then it should indicate the major variables to be considered in the study. You know, we work on variables in our research. So the main variable under study should be within your title. Suppose, for example, I have told you challenges and opportunities of online education in medical colleges in Bangladesh, right? So the main variables are online education, medical colleges, COVID-19 pandemic era, and challenges and opportunities. So these are the variables that should be within your title. So keep it in mind that variables are very important. The key variables, major variables should be within your title. So this is about title. So it is very important. First of all, everyone looks for the title. What is the title of your study? Everyone asks it. So you should be very careful in stating your title. It should be very much clear. I have told you, specific, catchy, meaningful, and within 15 words. Then our next part is introduction. So it's an introduction. What actually we include in introduction. We introduce the topic, research topic, including background and context. And problem statement is a very important part of this introduction. Actually, we describe our problem in introduction. We identify any gap in knowledge and questions which have to be answered. So through the literature review, we identify the gaps in knowledge, whether any gap is there. So what I can do to fill up the gaps. So to fill up the gaps, I can do my research, or I can keep my concentration on that area. So it gives you clues in which part you have to keep your eyes on. Then describe new insights that your research would contribute. Then it means what? That you can generate new knowledge if you carefully review your literature. If you carefully review the relevant literature and important literatures, you can see that there are many scope to generate new knowledge. So you can contribute in building future knowledge regarding the topic. How is your research beneficial to the community? What I have told you, applicability is very important, right? So you have to also mention in your introduction how it is beneficial to the community if you can do the research. And finally, rationally for conducting the research. Rationally is very important, justification of the study, which I mean. So this is very important that I will tell you later on. Then come to the point on problem statement. That means what I have told you, you have to describe the problem. You have to describe the problem in terms of time, place, and person distribution. You see here, what is the magnitude of the problem? If you think about COVID-19, then what is the magnitude of COVID-19 in the globe, in the world? What is the magnitude in Southeast Asia? What is the magnitude in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan, in our neighboring countries? What is the magnitude in the successful countries like Sri Lanka, like South Korea, Vietnam? So what is the situation there? Then time frame. When does the problem occur? Then geographical area that I have told you. What is the status of this problem in different areas? Where did it happen, right? The place distribution, it means. Which population groups are affected more? Regarding COVID-19, we know who are the vulnerable group of people. So these are the points you have to look for through your literature review for problem statement. So there are more points. What are the probable reasons for the problem to occur and also to persist? That means you are looking for the causes now. You are now looking for the causes. What are the probable reasons for the problem to occur and persist, right? Has any attempt has been made to solve the problem in the past? So in past, was there any measure taken to solve the problem? If so, what results were obtained? What were the results? Okay, and what extent the problem was solved, and what is remained to be solved? That means what we have to do now to solve the rest of the problems, and what aspect of the problems have been studied, right? So these are the probable areas what you have to mention in your problem statement. Next is rationality. Rationality, it is included in introduction, of course, in a research paper. Rationality, at the end of introduction, we mention about the rationality of the study, why you are doing this research, what you are doing and why you are doing, what benefit the population would get from the finding. Then brief description of the most relevant studies published on the subject should be provided to support the rationale for the study. That means you have to go through a very comprehensive review of literature. We always say that almost 3/4 of the literature review should be done before going into the operational level of research. So literature review is so important. You have to very aggressively and very comprehensively review literature, because you have to know many things before you go for study, before you start your research. So that is very important. Rationality, you have to express like this what is the importance of it, what is it, and what is the importance of doing this research. So you have to mention very rationally and scientifically in your write-up. Next point is research question. Research question is very important. I told you from the research title, we can, the research question we can phrase, and again from research question we can generate the title, right? So question, actually research question, it is not a single question. There might be more than one question. So it is not necessarily that there will be one research question only. Many people think that in a single research, there is only one research question. There should be only one research question. It's not that actually. There could be more research questions, more than one. There can be, then phrasing of research question is very important because it determines the research design to be selected. Like if I give you an example, that is, if you do a research on effect of or role of oral contraceptive pill on cervical cancer. So role of OCP on cervical cancer. If you want to see that, what kind of research you can do, you see, there are dependent variable and independent variable. Dependent variable is cervical cancer and independent variable is OCP. So you want to see whether OCP causes cervical cancer or not. So in that case, you have to do an analytic study. It is better to do case control study. Okay. So it will guide you, research question will guide you what kind of study you will have to choose. So that is why research question is very important. Then if you start the questions like this with who, what, where, when, and which. So this means your time, place, and person distribution. What is the problem and where is the problem? Who are most affected? When did it happen? So something like that. So it relates to descriptive study. So this type of question guide you to do descriptive study. Then again, how did it happen and why did it happen? If you want to know the cause of the problem, that will guide you to do the analytic study, either case control study or cohort study. Then come to the point of research objective. Research objective, you see here, there are two types, general objective and specific objective. General objective is a short statement that will tell you what you are going to do through your study. Okay? And specific objective is, these are the set of activities or set of tasks that will do to achieve your general objective or to fulfill your general objective, right? So suppose if you think like that, suppose you are trying to cook a special dish, okay, for a guest. You are a new cook, okay, new cook. You are not very much efficient. So what you'll do? So your main objective is to cook a very delicious and tasty item for your guest, right? Then you searched to look for a good recipe or good food item and its recipe in YouTube, and you have chosen at least 10 items, and from these 10 items you will choose one item. So these are the set of activities you have to go through to do your main purpose, to fulfill your main purpose. So general objective and specific objective. So general objective is the headline and subhead is the specific objective. That means the set of tasks that you have to do to achieve your general objective. So it is about research objective, but there are some criteria for a very good or good objective. I mean, very achievable objective, right? And we mention it like SMART, in a formula like SMART. The objective that you'll choose should be specific. This should not be non-specific, okay? This should not be non-specific. This should be very much specific, measurable, it should be measurable, it should be achievable, then it should be realistic, and it should be time bound. So it should be specific, it should be measurable, then it should be achievable, it should be realistic, and it should be time bound, right? So you have to remember, when you design your objective, you have to fulfill all the criteria for your objective: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Then hypothesis. Hypothesis, for descriptive study, we do not actually, we form hypothesis in descriptive study. But when you want to test any hypothesis, you have to go for analytic study. You have to go for analytic study. So we formulate hypothesis in descriptive study, and we test hypothesis in analytic study. So now you have to understand what is hypothesis. Hypothesis means proposal or supposition. Hypothesis means prediction of relationship between one or more variables and the problem under study, right? Like I have told you, effect of OCP on cervical cancer. Is there any relationship between them? You have to look for. So you are predicting that there is a relationship between OCP and cervical cancer, right? So this is hypothesis. Hypothesis means prediction of relationship between one or more variables, or variables with variable under study. Under a problem under study, what is that? That is cervical cancer. Okay? Is cervical cancer is related to OCP? So hypothesis is that there is relationship of OCP with cervical cancer. So hypothesis need to be tested, not proved. What you do? You test your hypothesis. So you have to undertake either case control or cohort study. Then literature review. So throughout the whole process, you have to go through a very comprehensive literature review. I have told you. It is important to show that you are familiar with your topic. You are very much confident. You are very much scientifically sound, knowledgeable about your topic. A strong literature review convinces the reader that your project has a solid foundation in existing knowledge or theory. So you have to convince your funder, or you have to convince your authority for approval of the research protocol. So you have to show them that confidence that you have a very good foundation of knowledge regarding all the aspects of the research area. It also shows you are not simply repeating what other people have already done or said. Okay, so if you have plenty of literature review you can do, you can prove yourself by that you are not repeating what your actually previous researchers have done regarding the same topic. You are working on different areas of the topic. So you can prove yourself. Then compare and contrast, right? You can compare and contrast between different studies. What is the similarity? What is the dissimilarity between different studies, so that you have a knowledge, knowledge before you go into your study. You have a very good conception actually what you are going to do. Then you have to be very much critical. That means you have to express, or you have to know about the strengths and weakness of different approaches. So strengths and weakness. Sometimes what we do, we try to hide the weakness of our research. So we should not do that actually. So, or any other research, we have to explore. If you go through the literature review, you have to explore both the strengths and weakness, both, because it will guide you what to do in your research, what to incorporate in your research, how to modify your plan. It will guide you. So strengths and weakness, both are very important for your literature review. Now, another very important aspect is research methods. Research method, that means how you do the research. What is the methodology? That is very important. Some headlines you have to mention here, right? Like research type. What is the type of research? Qualitative and quantitative, qualitative or quantitative, or combination of qualitative or quantitative, mixed method. What we call this study is mixed method study. Then research design, is it descriptive study or analytic or experimental, right? There are lots of opportunity now to do descriptive, analytic, and experimental study on COVID-19. And what is the study period? How long you'll continue with your study? What is the duration of the study? You have to mention that. Then study place. What is the study place? Will you cover the whole Bangladesh? Or will you cover some single division? Or what place you'll cover? So study place is very important. Sometimes what we do in some studies, we take multi-center study. Okay, multi-center study. Like if you want to do like the effect of oral contraceptives on cervical cancer. Okay, you can do it on a single based center. That means you can do it in a Dhaka National Cancer Hospital, or you can do this study throughout the Bangladesh, right? So the weightage will be more if you can do the study throughout the Bangladesh, but it depends on your feasibility, your time, your funding, everything. So it's not that you can always do a very comprehensive study. Sometimes you have to squeeze your study depending on your fund, depending on your feasibility, depending on your manpower and everything, and time also. Then study population. You have to define who are your study population, right? The study I have mentioned here, cervical cancer. Who are the study population? Those who have cervical cancer, who are diagnosed patients, okay, study population. Then list of variables. Before that, I should mention about selection of variables. Variables, what is variable? Variables are anything that varies in terms of time, place, and person, right? So variables, I will not very much talk about variables, theoretical part, but you have to list what are the variables you'll be using in your study. You have to list it down. There are socio-demographic variables, there are disease-related variables, that means the problem under study related variables. There are some risk factors related variables. It depends on what are the research topic you have chosen. So there are inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria you have to set also regarding the study subjects, study population. Those who will take part in your study, you have to make a criteria. That means inclusion, selection criteria, then inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. Who will be included in your study? If a cervical cancer patient is diagnosed at the age of 75 or 80 years old, do you think it will be very much useful for you to include that patient? I don't think so, because she could not remember anything. There will be information bias. So there you can limit the age. So inclusion criteria, it will be between, suppose, 40 to 60 years. Okay, so, and who is willing to take part in the study? That is also another factor. And exclusion criteria, you have to set for if it is a secondary case, that means due to metastasis cervical cancer occur, so you will exclude that, right? So you will take only the primary cases of cervical cancer. So in that way, you can select your inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. Next is sample size. What would be the sample size of your study? That is very important. Sometimes it is not possible for us to take the whole sample that I have got from the calculated formula. Okay, due to some limitation, it might not be possible for me to take the whole population that I have calculated from the formula. There are formulas in different studies, and you have to calculate that, and then you have to determine the sample size. Sometimes due to some limitations, we have to reduce the sample size. You have to mention it in your study, okay, in your research proposal. and finally into your research in your thesis paper. Then sampling technique. What would be your sampling technique? Sampling technique, you know, there are two types of sampling technique, probability and non-probability sampling. It is always better probability to undertake probability sampling, but sometimes it is not possible for us. There are some limitations even. So sometimes we have to choose for purposive sampling. So sampling technique, you have to mention in your research proposal what sampling technique you are going to follow. Then data collection methods. Data collection methods, there are different ways of data collection method. In qualitative study and quantitative study, there are different ways of data collection method. Interviews, then questionnaire, then data you can collect from records or documents or hospital records, okay, or by in-depth interview, okay, focus group discussion, key informants interview. Like this, we can collect in different way data. So you have to mention in your research proposal what will be your data collection method. And one thing that I forgot to mention, you have to use your research proposal, and you have to write your research proposal in a futuristic way. Okay, in a future tense. Okay, I will do that. I will collect data by interviewing method. I will collect data by focus group discussion, like this. So in a futuristic way, you have to write down your research protocol. Then what data collection instrument you have to mention. What is your data collection instrument? Is it a questionnaire? Is it a checklist? Okay, or is it a Google form? What is your data collection instrument? You have to mention. Then data management and data analysis. In the research proposal, you have to very clearly state what will be your data management and analysis. Depending on the variables, you will decide what kind of analysis you will be choose for those variables. Okay. Then variables of the study you have to list for again. That I told you about the inclusion and exclusion criteria. And also now you have to give the proper headline of the variables in the research protocol, of course. Then implication and contribution to knowledge. Implications and contribution to knowledge means from the expected finding, what would be the implication of your finding into your community. To finish your proposal on a strong note, you can explore the potential importance, the research for the theory or practice. So whether you have opportunity to apply in different areas, it may be, it might change policy or strategy, right? Suppose through your research, it came out that in the marginalized areas, people are not getting enough food despite of having enough food in their storage, okay? But they are not getting that. From the study, it came out. Then what you can do? Then some corruptions are going there, of course, so that the authority can take measure based on the finding. So you see, sometimes in our country, some of the research agencies, they publish the result of some of their researches, and it is related to corruption, it is related to governance and other issues. And according to that finding, the policymakers sometimes change their strategy or policy to improve their governance, to reduce the corruption. So in that way, your research finding can do good to the community in this way. Then expansion of the population coverage as per need base, and strengthening a theory or model, right? So if there is prediction of something in that area, says they are predicting that within 5 months, the prevalence of COVID-19 in that area or in that division would be like an explosion. So if your research tells something like that, so they can be well prepared to combat that situation. So then challenging popular and scientific assumption. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens, right? So some traditional methods going on years after years, but a new research findings came out. Then it's telling them, no, that is wrong. So you change. So first what happened? WHO told us not to use masks. Then after evidence-based research, they told us, no, you use masks, okay? So information is always changing. So based on the finding, we are changing our theories, we are changing our strategies and policies like that. Then is the reference list. Reference list is very important, you know. Plagiarism, you have heard of it. That means copying others' research, statements for other people's research. That is stealing in research, right? So research proposal must include proper citation for every source you have used, and full publication details should always be included in the reference list. At the end of the research protocol, there should be a research list. Okay, always keep it in mind. Without any reference, it will not be accepted. Okay, it will be refused by them. So reference list should be very carefully noted from the very beginning, because we shall collect lots of literature. It will be lost if we do not systematically preserve them. So it is very important, reference list with citation, with source, from where you have taken, what is the volume, issue number, everything, page number, everything should be mentioned, okay? And nowadays you can take help of APA, American Psychological Association, a citation generator. That is a new citation source, so you can take help from there. And for reference, you can check whether there is plagiarism or not. Okay, there is a software now by which you can check it. So you do not have to manually check it. So there is a software where you can see whether there is stealing of some publication is there or not. Okay, that is very important. And the references, you can references, you know, in Vancouver style or Harvard style or APA, that means American Psychological Association citation source, how they write, you can mention like that. Okay. Next is research schedule. Research schedule means work schedule. So how long your research will be continued? Not only that, you have to start from your onset of your research protocol writing, your literature review. You have to start from there. And a Gantt chart is necessary for that. You have to prepare a Gantt chart where your work schedule will be mentioned. So you can see here a table where the work schedule is mentioned. You see, there is background research and literature review. Then it will take time. Here is the time mentioned here on the right side. Then research design and planning. So it will include designing questionnaire, identify online and offline channels for recruiting participants, finalize sampling methods and data analysis methods, and so on. There is a full description here. So these are the different steps of the research, and here is the activities within this time, and here is the timeline. Okay, so this is the work schedule or research schedule. Next is budget. So it is always important. Research cost. Research cost always you have to measure before your before starting your study. So if you're applying for a research fund, you have to make a detailed budget of every component of your research, okay? And make sure that the funder is agreeable to give you all the cost of your research. If they don't give all the cost, then you have to very much particular about on which area we can ask for funding. Okay, so for each item, you have to include your cost, justification of your cost, and source. So what is the source of your calculation of cost? So it has to be explained. And there are also other areas of cost, that is consultation fee. Sometimes it is necessary, then travel cost, material cost. You have to buy some instruments for your study maybe. So this is, or some books or some materials related to your study. Then it will also cost, make huge cost. Then assistance fee, research assistants, or you may hire some statistician or data collectors. You have to pay them. So it is also an important area. Then time. Time is also another factor. Suppose from your job, you take 6 months leave, okay, without pay, leave without pay to do a research. So how will you run your life? You need money, right? So from the research fund, you can also add that money there. Okay, so these are the facts related to the budget. Then appendices. Appendices means what are the extra things you have to add here. That is the timeline. Then questionnaire. Questionnaire, you have to prepare your questionnaire when you are going to submit your research protocol. With that, you have to submit the questionnaire too, in your native language and also in English language. And also your consent form is very important in English and also in your native language. Consent form you have to submit, because consent form is very important. Without submitting these two, questionnaire and consent form, your research protocol will not be approved. Mind it, okay? So consent form is very important, and sometimes they check it very thoroughly. Sometimes, not sometimes, always, because it is the area where you have to ensure, yes, the ethical aspect of the study subject I have ensured through by taking the consent form. And you also have to look for the questionnaire. Is there any part that will embarrass the study subject or the participants, or that will reveal the confidentiality, disclose the confidentiality of the participant? That is very important. So it has to be checked very carefully. And the last part is revision and proofreading. Always. Sometimes I saw many people, they just write the protocol or anything, and they submit. They don't revise it. It is very important in every aspect. Whenever you finish a task, a draft, you have to check it thoroughly from top to bottom. You have to do it, okay? Then you will see, more you see your protocol, more it will be refined. I am also the editor of my Bangladesh Medical College journal, and I say, more I see, more I find mistakes. So it is very important. It is also applicable for the learners, first learner if you are, and even the best learners also, they must check their protocol or any kind of write-up again and again. And for the best chance of approval, you might want to consider using professional proofreading service to get rid of language errors, your proposal structure, and improve your academic style. That means you can hire someone, some professional person who can check it finally. And then if he agrees that yes, now it is ready, you go and submit, then you can do it. So I think that's all of my presentation. So I just very much thankful to IFMSA for giving me the opportunity to present this important session before you. And we will be connected, inshallah, in future. If you have any question to ask, my email will be available, my phone number will be available. You can contact me anytime. I'm ready to help you. So with that, I would like to conclude for today. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.